Thank you very much, everyone. Again, my live stream is about 20 to 30 seconds behind me live here in my office studio. If at your earliest convenience, if someone in the chat could give me a thumbs up, good to go, no problems, that would do wonder for my nerves right now. In the meantime, my name is Dr. Kyle David. Today we're here to talk about the most recent update to the AI Governance Professional, or AIGP, body of knowledge. We are now in version 2.1. That new body of knowledge went into effect today. So, okay, great. Thank you very much for the confirmation in chat. Wonderful. So let's dive right into the presentation. And all right, looks okay here on my screen. I will get confirmation here on the right-hand side that everything's ready to go. So let's dive right into it. So we're here today to talk about the update to the new body of knowledge. If you've been following the AI Governance Professional certification exam for some time, maybe you were planning on taking it at some point in 2025, but life got in the way, and now you're looking at taking this new version of the exam. I want to make sure that you're all up to speed, you know what the major changes are so that you can target your study. The presentation that I've put together today, this is going to be, probably maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And then for the rest of the time that we have, I'll, be here to take your questions. So for those of you that don't know who I am, I just want to start with a very brief introduction, who I am, my education, work experience. I'm then going to talk about what the AIGP certification is. I'm going to hopefully provide you with some very compelling reasons why getting AIGP certified is a fantastic career choice right now, either as a primary career that you plan on pursuing, or perhaps as an adjacent skill set to privacy, cybersecurity, governance, risk compliance, or some other IT or non-IT related field. We're then going to talk about the major changes to version 2.1 of the exam. There's a really very substantial change that has flown under the radar that everyone needs to be familiar with because it is going to be absolutely crucial to your success on this new version of the exam. And then we're going to talk about how to get started. If this is a certification that you're interested in pursuing, what's the best way to approach the exam? We're then hopefully going to have plenty of time for questions. Again, this is a one-man show. I will be monitoring the chat, which is thankfully right here to the right of my camera. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. And if something is relevant to what I'm talking about, I'll be happy to address it. Otherwise, once I conclude the presentation, we'll jump into those questions. A little bit about me, for those of you that don't know who I am. My name is Dr. Kyle David, and I'm a lifelong educator. My original career goal was to be a university professor and teach history on some university campus here in America, and life kind of got in the way, as we'll see. But to give you my short bio, I earned my PhD from the University of California, Irvine in 2021. My PhD is in modern Chinese history. So not at all related to privacy or AI or cybersecurity or what I'm doing now as a full-time job. I put that up front just to let you know that if you're interested in pivoting into any one of these careers, you can absolutely do it. You don't need a law, you don't need an IT, you don't need a background in information technology or data privacy. You can absolutely pivot into it. I have done it as an individual, first in my late 30s and now in my early 40s. So it's possible, and I feel like I have a lot of value to add there. When I began my career in privacy and data protection, I really wanted to jump in head first. I started with the Privacy Engineering Certificate Program at Carnegie Mellon University, and then I took a slew of very rigorous high-stakes exams. 4 of those are with IAPP, including the AIGP, which we're talking about today, the CIPP US, that's Certified Information Privacy Professional United States, as well as Europe for the GDPR, and the Certified Information Privacy Manager certification. Passed all of those, thankfully, on my first attempt. I've also received the designation of Fellow of Information Privacy from IAPP. I also have the CISSP certification, which is management cybersecurity certification, and also recently earned the Advanced in AI Security Management. These are all pretty tough exams. They certainly rank very differently with regards to difficulty, and that's something I'm happy to talk about later if you're interested in. But I've passed all of these on my first go, so I have a proven system for tackling these exams, committing to information to memory, and then perhaps equally as important, not only the subject matter expertise, but how to strategically approach these types of exams. And again, something we can get into later. As far as work experience goes, I said just a moment ago that I'm a lifelong educator. I graduated with an undergraduate degree in 2005 and promptly flew overseas, spent 9 years with a mix between Central Europe and Northeast China, teaching K through 12. I taught English as a second language, moved back to the United States in 2014, and from 2014 to 2021 completed my doctorate. Again, the idea all along was to be a university history professor. What got in the way, you might ask? COVID. COVID got in the way. My last year on the academic job market was the beginning of the COVID lockdowns. And before I even reached the beginning of that academic job cycle, universities throughout the country and really throughout the world started announcing hiring freezes. So I had to pivot very quickly with a small family, and I was very lucky to get picked up by the U.S. Department of Energy through the Presidential Management Fellows Program. They brought me into the Office of Privacy Management and Compliance, where I started with privacy, governance, risk, and compliance. And then when ChatGPT exploded onto the stage at the end of 2022, early 2023, they needed someone to pick up AI as well. So one thing I love about the US federal government as a career path is that they will teach anybody anything. If you're motivated, if you're hardworking, they have the resources to help you develop. And so I'm very thankful for the more than 4 years that I spent there. In 2024, as a side hustle, I started Dr. David LLC, which you have right before you. And really throughout the first 18 months, the support, the enthusiasm, the encouragement of the community convinced me to make this a full-time job. And that's what I do right now. To date, so just a little over 2 years in, I've trained more than 8,000 students across 120 countries, helping them to prepare for and successfully pass their IAPP, and most recently, ISACA certification exams as well. So worked with a lot of people to help them achieve certification and advance in their careers. At present, just recently been appointed Associate Director for Audit and Risk for the local ISACA chapter here in the greater Washington, D.C. area. I've served as a co-chair for a local IAPP Knowledge Net in Northern Virginia. And, I do speaking as well, conferences, recently spoke at ISSA's Northern Virginia chapter, podcast talk shows, and so forth as well. So a little bit about me. I think, when you're embarking on a learning journey with an instructor, it's important that you know who they are, what their background is, and I'm here for you all. That's again, my whole professional career, adult life has been as an educator. I'm here to help you succeed in whatever you need to do certification wise to reach your career goals. All right, just taking a look at chat. All right, a few questions here regarding recording. So the recording will live on LinkedIn for some time. So if you're not able to attend the event, or if you're joining a little late, then you can go to my profile on LinkedIn. I'm going to feature this once we're done. And so through my profile, you'll be able to find the recording. It's not going to be on YouTube. LinkedIn likes its native video content to reside on LinkedIn. And so that's where it'll be. You'll be able to rewatch this here on LinkedIn. Let's talk a little bit about what the AIGP is. AIGP, this is an initialism for Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional. It's a certification provided by IAPP. IAPP used to be the International Association for Privacy Professionals, but they rebranded at the end of 2024 in September of that year to just IAPP. And that rebrand was part of a broadening of the organization's mission. They expanded from being focused almost entirely or only on privacy to also including AI governance and very broadly digital responsibility. I made a prediction just a couple of weeks ago that IAPP will also soon be launching a cybersecurity law certification. So that's my second and final prediction for 2026. We'll see if it comes true. Nevertheless, we're here for AIGP. The objective of the AIGP certification and of my course is to prepare individuals for careers in AI governance. Again, whether that's your primary, your only responsibility, or whether it's an adjacent skill set that's going to help you with privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, governance, risk compliance, what have you. And what we learn as AI governance professionals is the end-to-end management of risk throughout the AI development lifecycle. What does the AIGP body of knowledge cover? For those that are unfamiliar with that term, body of knowledge or BOK, this is an outline. It's an outline of exam topics that you are very likely to see on the AIGP exam. Now, the body of knowledge itself is just that. It is an outline. The BOK itself, the 9 or 10 page document, is insufficient for preparing you for the AIGP exam. You cannot print that document out and commit it to memory and pass on this exam. It is just an outline. And I'll just give you an example. So IAPP has published a glossary of AIGP key terms. There are 101 terms in this document, and those 101 terms are all up for grabs on the exam. Now, those 101 terms, not all of those pop up on the body of knowledge. So again, the body of knowledge is only an outline. This is for all IAPP exams. It is a high-level outline of what you may see on the exam. It is not an exhaustive resource. It's really just a guide for you. With regards to the AIGP exam, there are 4 domains, really 3 major topics. So the first domain, and a domain here, just think of it as a chapter or a section. The first domain covers the technological foundations of artificial intelligence. So here it says the foundations of AI governance, and there is a section on governance, but the vast majority of this section is really focused on the technology. That glossary of terms I spoke about just a moment ago, again, 101 of those terms, 70 of those terms are in domain 1 of my course. So it's really, really very important that you master the technological foundations of the technology, not for a career and for understanding the legal and compliance requirements as well. Domain 2 focuses on laws, standards, and frameworks and how they apply to artificial intelligence. And then domains 3 and 4 focus on governing the AI development lifecycle. So here, domain 3 says development. This is really stages 1 through 4 of the OECD AI development lifecycle, which I'll talk about soon. And domain 4 is deployment and use. So this is going to be the last 3 stages of the AI development lifecycle. Now, in addition to these 4 very broad topics, you see here on the slide, I have some numbers, and these are numbers of questions. The AIGP exam has 100 questions. Of those 100 questions, 85 of those questions are graded. So there are 15 ungraded trial questions. My idea here behind a trial question is that IAPP, when they're introducing new material or they're refreshing the exam, they have questions that they want to gather some data on before they make it, a graded question. And so they will put the question into your test or into, many, maybe hundreds of tests to gather data. Is this too easy? Is it too difficult? Does it hit a certain sweet spot? What is that sweet spot? I don't know. But that's what I imagine the trial questions are. They're testing out material on test takers to try and identify, again, too easy, too difficult, or just right. So 85 questions are graded, 15 questions are ungraded, and here in parentheses, you see the approximate number of questions that you can expect to see on the exam. And more or less, these are weighted equally for this exam. So about 25% of each. So domain 1, about 16 to 20 questions, domain 2, 19 to 23, and domains 3 and 4, 21 to 25 questions each. All right, just checking chat here. All right, don't see anything jumping out at me. So why get AIGP certified? And I think there are many reasons to get certified. I'm going to show you some fresh data from the end of 2025, early 2026, and I'm going to make really two arguments here through this data. The first argument is that there is a developing need for AI governance professionals. The second argument is there is a skill gap. That is, there are not enough people with this skill set to fill needs at organizations all around the world, okay? So number one, there's a developing need for people with this skill set. Number two, there aren't enough people with these skills. And so let's look at what some of the data says here. First, just up top, if you are an IAPP member, you likely saw their salary and jobs report. This report comes out about every 2 years. The most recent one that came out showed that of the 1,600 plus respondents across more than 160 countries, that the average salary for individuals in AI governance was $182,000. So money is great. What about quality of life? 81% of respondents reported a job satisfaction equal to 6 or higher. So these folks are either satisfied or more than satisfied with their job. And also individuals that had one or more IAPP certification also reported earning a higher median salary than those that did not have any certifications. I want to look at a OneTrust survey. This surveyed over 1,250 governance-focused IT decision makers at companies with more than $100 million in annual revenue in Europe and in North America. Just some statistics there that stood out to me. 37% reported increase in time spent managing AI-related risk compared to 12 months before. So organizations are spending more time managing AI risk. 75% of leaders state that AI exposes the limitations of legacy governance processes. So the current processes in place are insufficient. 73% of leaders report that AI has exposed critical gaps in visibility, collaboration, and policy enforcement. 98% of organizations plan to increase their governance budgets in the next financial year. And finally, 55% of organizations expect governance budget increases to exceed 20% in the next year. So again, the arguments I'm making for you, there's a growing demand for people with these skill sets. There aren't enough people with these skill sets. Stanford AI Index, this data is about a year old. The updated Stanford AI Index comes out usually about April or May of every year. So this is from, just about a year ago. You'll see the dramatic increase in the rise in the number of incidents that are being reported. And again, most recent data here is from 2024. I imagine, 2025 is going to continue this dramatic trend. This graph here, this bar chart, compare and contrast, really shocked me when I saw it. On the left-hand side, we have respondents who consider a particular type of AI risk relevant, okay? And just how low these numbers are shock me. So 66% of people see AI cybersecurity related risk as relevant, right? 63% say regulatory compliance is relevant. Only 60% say that AI related personal privacy and data protection is relevant. I don't know why those numbers aren't 100%. What scares me even more, looking at the right-hand side, of those who have identified a risk as relevant, not everyone is actively mitigating those risks, right? So we have, 53% are mitigating the cybersecurity risks, 50% are looking at regulatory compliance, 46% are looking at privacy and personal data. Again, there are people who acknowledge the risk is there, but they're not mitigating it. Why aren't they mitigating it? Maybe they don't have people with the skills. Maybe they don't have the budget yet, okay? The data is just reporting the phenomena. It's not trying to explain the phenomena. I want to end with some data on Deloitte. So again, very recent report, January 2026. So this was just last month. And this passage in particular stood out to me. As AI moves from experimentation to deployment, governance is the difference between scaling successfully and stalling out. In the AI era, governance is more than guardrails. It is the catalyst for responsible growth. And there are a number of other studies that I haven't included in here. I could give an hour-long presentation making the case for AI governance it being recognized as an important discipline, and organizations needing these types of skills, but you're not here to listen to me read off statistics. The last point I want to make on the talent gap, this is from the same Deloitte report. Look all the way to the right-hand column, the one that's titled Talent here, and we're looking at, of respondents to this Deloitte report, the folks who were surveyed, where do these organizations stand with their level of preparedness? Only 20% of respondents said they were highly prepared for AI governance. How many? We have 45% that are moderately prepared, 29% that are slightly prepared, and then 6% that are not prepared at all. Again, so again, one more time, the case that I've tried to make to you here, AI governance is in demand. There aren't enough people doing it. So for me, the data is very clear, right? This is a great area to get into. If it's not, your primary career focus, then at the very least as an adjacent skill set to what you're already currently doing. I want to end with just a little bit more on career advancement. If the data doesn't convince you, then maybe some emotion, some feeling will. So LinkedIn, for the at least second year in a row, has listed AI consultant as the second fastest growing job in the United States. This was just from early January. Having a certificate, any one of these, especially the AIGP, it demonstrates a commitment to learning, to self-improvement, subject matter expertise. It's going to help you stand out from folks that do not hold these certifications. And finally, sorry, I said I was done. I lied. There are currently, according to OECD, over 1,200 regulation and policy initiatives worldwide. It is going to require, right, these policy initiatives, these regulations, they are requiring that organizations master AI risk. I think the question is, do you want to be the person that leads your organization or another organization in mastering this risk? PwC 2025, I believe this report is from June or July, 100% of industries are increasing AI usage, and employees with AI skills receive a 56% wage premium, okay? I think throughout the presentation, I've provided the citations, I've referenced all the statistics so that you can go out and you can look up that information and read on your own. All right, I'm just going to take a quick look at chat here. Okay, just seeing if anything jumps out about the statistics. Okay, I see a few exam-related questions. We'll come back to that in a bit. All right. So I want to talk about what has changed in version 2.1 of the new body of knowledge. IAPP updates all of their exams on an annual basis. There are, I don't remember exactly how many certifications IAPP has right now, maybe 7 or 8. All but the AIGP are focused on privacy. And those privacy exams all update in early September, I believe. AIGP updates in early February. And this is the third version of the course. And I've been a part of this since the very beginning. I believe IAPP announced the AIGP certificate and curriculum in late 2023. They may have started training folks as early as November of 2023. The first exams were proctored at the Global Privacy Summit in Washington, D.C. in April of 2024. I was certified in May of 2024. So I've been really immersed in this curriculum since the very beginning. I've seen all 3 iterations, all of the updates. And so I feel like this is an exam that I'm very close to. It is quite literally my full-time job to help people prepare for this. And so, again, I'm familiar with the material and all the changes to the exam. So there are 3 major changes that need to be on your radar if you are straddling 2 versions of the exam. Again, maybe you started preparing prior to now. Maybe you went through, the first version 2.0.1 materials, and again, life got in the way, so you had to delay. Now you want to make sure that you're up to date on what the new changes are. This is what you need to focus on for version 2.1 of the exam. So the most significant change by far, and this is really, really, really important, is the change in how IAPP has structured the AI development lifecycle. In the previous versions of the exam, IAPP has tested folks on 4 stages of the AI development lifecycle. And while this followed the general flow of machine learning operations, of model development, there were a few quirks in the sub-activities that they assigned to each of these stages, which I think maybe frustrated some people. And for whatever reason, IAPP has responded, and now they're aligning with the OECD model, the 7 stages of the AI development lifecycle. So the previous version was plan, design, develop, deploy. That is no more, thankfully. And now we have the 7 stages of the AI development lifecycle. Now, what's important here is not only is the exam, the curriculum now aligned with industry standards, but most importantly for test takers, the activities that are carried out in each of these different stages have been redistributed. So again, let's just say for the sake of argument that we had, 25 different activities under the previous 4-stage model. Those 25 activities have now been redistributed throughout 7 stages. So if you had previously committed to memory, just for the sake of argument, that feature engineering takes place during the develop stage, you now need to learn for the exam that feature engineering takes place during stage 2, which is data collection and preparation. So that's going to be the most significant change for folks that have learned the previous material and are now preparing for the new version of the exam, okay? That's the number one biggest change and most important change for folks that are straddling both versions. This is really important because IAPP really likes to test your understanding of workflows and processes. You may receive a scenario, a description of a data scientist performing some data cleansing activities. The scenario may not say data cleaning, data collection, or preparation, but it will describe what's going on. And then the question may ask you, what is the next best step? Or what is the next stage in the AI development lifecycle? Or what is the next stage in the data collection and preparation stage? And so it's really important that you know those workflows and processes backwards and forwards, and that you're able to think critically about a scenario, and then, whatever the question is, of course, answer that question. So that's the number one change. If I could only tell you, one thing to relearn or one thing to focus on for the new version of the exam, it's going to be the updated AI development lifecycle. Number 2, there are more laws and regulations. So the EU AI Act still plays a very prominent role in the body of knowledge, but we've introduced, or IAPP has introduced here, U.S. federal government and U.S. state level action. Now, the important thing to consider when it comes to U.S. federal government action is that in the United States right now, we really don't have any comprehensive federal legislation that targets the public sector or public sector use of artificial intelligence. The one exception that is going to be related to AI that you need to know is going to be the Take It Down Act. And in the interest of time, I won't go through that here, but it essentially, that law targets the posting of non-consensual intimate imagery or deepfakes on social networks. At the state level action, there are probably about 9 different laws that you need to know about across California, Utah, Texas. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but I believe we have 4 states, 1 municipality, about 9 laws between the 5 of those. There's also going to be more focus on the People's Republic of China as well. They've come out with really this framework of regulations that are governing their use of artificial intelligence. Finally, and I really thought this was really quite interesting, more attention to AI ethics. So a couple new terms that are popping up in the exam, ethics by design, explainability by design in my course. So those are the major changes. Again, AI development lifecycle, increased number of laws and regulations, more attention to AI ethics. Additional topics, ISO 42005, this is the standard on AI impact assessments. You need to be familiar with that at a very high level. Non-EU AI Act operators. I know that's a mouthful, and it's really kind of, for me, a little bit of a frustrating topic to have to teach. Not frustrating in that it's difficult, frustrating in the sense that as someone taking the exam or going through my course, committing this material to memory, you kind of have to operate in two places at once, okay? You have to operate with the EU AI Act's own definitions of terms like provider, deployer, etc., all of the different AI operators. You then have this other generic use of words like developer, all right? Developer, as the technical creator, as an organization that is creating a model from scratch. That term developer does not exist in the EU AI Act, but you will see that in other global laws and regulations. So you have to understand and kind of carry in your head at the same time, what are the different contexts and what you're operating? Because you can have the same term that pops up in both places, but means different things. So another tip that I have for anyone that's preparing for the exam is that it's very, very, very important that you read the question carefully and you identify in the question, is this an EU context? Because if it's an EU context, you need to be referencing the EU AI Act definitions of terms like provider, deployer, etc. The other side is, does the context, is it just speaking in broad generalities? Is there no jurisdiction that is mentioned whatsoever? In that case, you're going to be referring to this generic non-EU AI Act operators, okay? I hope that's a useful way of thinking about and splitting apart the different terms here. I think it's just the world that we live in, that we have different organizations, different jurisdictions using the same words with different meanings. It's just a fact of life, and so understanding the context is very important. Context is king. European Data Protection Opinion 2824. This is some guidance on whether legitimate interest can be used as a legal basis for processing data and for building a model using personal data, publicly available data, for example. It also concerns anonymization, okay? There's one other topic in there that's not coming to mind, but you need to know those three issues that are discussed in the opinion. And then finally, with this new course, there's an enhanced focus on global obligations. So GPAI, General Purpose Artificial Intelligence, provider obligations concerning those, or what we often refer to, at least in my neck of the woods, as foundation models, as well as global enforcement as well. What are some of the commonalities across different jurisdictions in the world? So those are just some of the additional topics. This is not by any stretch of the imagination an exhaustive overview of all of the changes to my course. The previous version of my course had 153 lectures, and I think right now it's close to 170. So the amount of time is similar. In both cases, it was about 19 to 20 hours. That remains the same, but more than half of the content has been revised and updated, as well as all of these new topics covered as well. So how do we get started? Well, of course, I'm biased. I'm going to try and sell you on my course at drdavidprivacy.com. So there I offer my AIGP certification masterclass, and this is the highest return on investment product that's available, hands down. Some of the things that you get, again, more than 20 hours of on-demand deep dive videos covering everything in the body of knowledge. I've seen a number of questions here if my materials are updated. Yes, they are. I updated both of the courses yesterday, Sunday, February 1st. So across drdavidprivacy.com, everything's ready to go. Exam confidence, this is 600 practice questions to make sure you get experience working with the content, thinking strategically about it as well. I've also partnered with Brainscape. This is a mobile-friendly flashcard app There are 700, that the revised number of flashcards is going to be a little lower because I've consolidated things, but it's more than 700 flashcards, as well as a 6-month subscription to their platform. Expert mentorship. So through drdavidprivacy.com, I hold weekly office hours or for a month. And so, live opportunity to come interact with me as the instructor to get tips on this on AIGP, or if you're preparing for one of the privacy certifications, then that as well. Unlimited custom practice. So I've created a master prompt for generating extra practice questions. I have that prompt on drdavidprivacy.com, as well as a tutorial video to show you how I use that. There's a special study skills section, which is about an hour long. How should you go through the material? How should you prepare? What are some exam tips for exam day for you? Community support. I have a very active Discord channel with close to 2,000 participants right now. Again, I've been growing that over the last 2 years, and so you can get live support both from me and other members of the community there, and a number of other, really great things that, just in the interest of time, I'm not going to go over. But again, I firmly believe that this is the best, most comprehensive product on the planet right now, highest return on investment, and worth your time. All right, so there we are for the presentation. Let me check where we are on time. Great, we've still got 20 minutes, so I'm going to go through questions here real quick. I'm just going to start from the bottom up. Let's see, are the flashcards in physical form? Flashcards are online. They're digital flashcards. You can use both desktop and mobile, so there's an app to download for that. Alice has asked a question about beginning of the course and now needing to update. So what I've done, Alice, is in the Discord community, I have already published, number one, the spreadsheet that I personally use to update everything throughout my course, as well as a video tutorial. So if you go into Discord, pinned to the top of the AIGP channel is going to be that spreadsheet and the tutorial video that'll show you exactly how to sort through all of the different changes and identify right away what you need to review and what you don't need to review. Okay, list of definitions referenced. Okay, so I believe Janie is referring to the AIGP key terms glossary. So, Janine, I'm wondering if other folks can confirm this. I have also recently gone to IAPP's website and was not able to find the original PDF. Instead, it's all now digital in one of those collapsible lists that you have to click through a bunch of different pages. So I'm wondering if anyone has a link to the AIGP key terms PDF that they published sometime last year. I do have a copy. So if you can't find that on IAPP's site, please feel free to reach out, send me a DM here on LinkedIn, and I can send that to you. Yes, okay, so Akira, as far as other global developments, the South Korea, I think it's called the Basic AI Law, that has also been added to my course. So there's a lecture there on that. I agree with Akira that the new version of my course is the material that IAPP has included on the body of knowledge is more mature. I agree with that. Brad is asking whether the changes have been updated to my video training. Yes, they've all been updated. So on drdavidprivacy.com, all of those videos are fully up to date now. Okay, there's a question here about another AI certification, the GARP. Unfortunately, I'm not very familiar with that, but looks like Amrita, you're I think the second person to bring that up, so I should learn a little bit more about that. Okay, Janine is asking if we were provided with training materials a few months ago, would the training materials in our IAPP accounts have been updated? I'm sorry, Janine, I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that question. The number one thing I would say is you should, in your old materials, you should look for a version number, and the version number should be version 2.1. That's the current version. If you have version 2.0, 2.0.1, or version 1 point something, then those are definitely out of date. All right. All right, Mary Ann is asking if AIGP is recommended for fresh graduates to pursue AIGP, or is work experience a must? So the great thing about IAPP certifications is that there's no work requirement or other prerequisite to be issued the certification. Unlike something like ISACA's AI, I think they have three. I don't know about the newest one. But for ISACA, both for the Advanced in AI Audit and the Advanced in AI Security Management, there's not only a work requirement, but there is also a certification requirement as well. So for the Advanced in AI Security Management, in order to be issued that certification, you must also have a CISSP, or I believe ISACA's cybersecurity certificate is the CISM. So that would be required. Okay. David, you've asked a question here about, will the PowerPoint be on my website? If you're referring to these slides here, today's presentation, no, I wasn't intending to put these on my website. If you're asking about the PowerPoint slides for all of my lectures, yes. You can download all of the lecture slides in a PDF form. I've also taken, for those of you that have been through one of my other courses, I use a lot of mnemonic devices to help remember long lists. So for example, for the GDPR principles, the mnemonic device is llamas paraded drowsily as Smurfs imploded accidentally. And then of course I've used Gen AI tools to make a very colorful illustration of that. I've taken all of those mnemonics and I've put them into one handout. So that's something that's new with this version, is there's one consolidated reference for all of those mnemonics, and those are all available on drdavidprivacy.com. All right. Okay, yes, Mary Ann, unfortunately, the ungraded questions are not labeled. So it's a little bit of a psychology hack that I've used for these exams, is if I come across a question and I have no idea what the answer is, maybe there are some terms, there are some concepts that I've never seen before, instead of getting really anxious and jumping down a rabbit hole of self-doubt, I just brush that question off as an ungraded trial question, like, that wasn't graded anyway. Do I know that's the case? No. Am I self-delusional? Maybe a little bit. But it helps me get through the exam. Okay, Richard has asked about the recording. Yes, this recording here will live on LinkedIn, so you'll definitely be able to watch it after the fact. All right, I think I've gone through all the questions from before. Let me catch up with what we have here at the bottom of the chat. Okay, so a few folks have asked about my course on Udemy. The Udemy course is also updated. However, I strongly recommend that you register through drdavidprivacy.com for a couple reasons. Number one, Udemy, and I'm just going to give it to you straight, Udemy takes 67%. They take a 67% cut of every course that I sell on Udemy. As I mentioned earlier, this is now my full-time job, and in order to make it viable, I need to be getting 100% of what I think my course is worth, okay? So when you purchase directly from drdavidprivacy.com, 100% of that, minus processing fees, goes to me. It supports my work, and it allows me to do more really cool things like this for you all in the community. So that's number one. Number two, I offer more resources on my website. The flashcards come with my website. The Brainscape Pro 6-month subscription comes with my website. The weekly office hours where you get live access to me are only available on my website, okay? And there are a number of other benefits as well. You know, when I launch new courses, when I have new initiatives like the AIGP Accelerator, those offers are going to go to my community through drdavidprivacy.com first, okay? That's the second reason. The third reason, Udemy has recently been purchased by Coursera, and I have no idea how Coursera's relationship with instructors, I have no idea what that's going to look like, okay? So whereas my relationship with Udemy has been very predictable and stable over the last 2 years, once Coursera fully takes over, I don't know how that's going to affect my content and what I am able to provide the community with. So when you purchase and enroll directly with me, it helps me out a lot and it gives me more control over your experience. I have no idea what Coursera's plans with Udemy and that content is right now. Nisreen is asking whether I recommend additional study materials. I've designed all of my courses to be a one-stop shop, to be the only resource that you need to prepare for success. Comprehensive coverage of the body of knowledge, flashcard, 600 practice questions, live office hours, a community through Discord to support you live. You shouldn't need anything else outside of my course. The only other resource that I do recommend to folks that are able to purchase it is the official IAPP practice exam. It's the only other resource that I have personal experience with, and therefore the only one that I feel comfortable recommending. So the answer to the question, Nisreen, is no. I've designed this course so you don't need any other resources. I thought it was very silly, and this was part of the inspiration for Dr. David for me creating these courses, is that you have to, you have to get together 3 or 4 different resources to help you prepare for something, right? I mean, you should have everything in one, and that's what I try and do with Dr. David. Okay, looking through. Okay, so Lewis is asking, purchased the course in November or December of 2024, but he had to stop. Are the flashcards at Brainscape? So, Lewis, depending on where you enrolled, so you can, if you enroll through Udemy, you can still get the Brainscape flashcards, but you have to purchase a subscription separately. And I believe a 6-month subscription is going to be at least $48. So, I mean, you can just assume on my website, right, that you don't pay for that. It's bundled with the course. But if you need to purchase the flashcards separately, you can do that through Brainscape. All right. Okay, so Ahmed is asking about updating the practice exams. I'm working on updating the practice exams and quizzes now. It's the last little bit that I have to do. I've written all of the updated questions. They're ready to go, but both on Udemy and my website, I have to do it manually. So I have to click through 600 questions. I have to identify the ones that need to be swapped out, and then I have to copy and paste manually the new content in there. I mean, that's when I'm not live streaming, I'm updating those practice questions. I fully intend to have all of the quizzes and practice questions updated by the end of the week. The Udemy course, the video lectures are fully up to date. And Rita, so the lecture notes are all fully updated on Udemy on both platforms. Nisreen, yes, I still do office hours. In fact, I had office hours right before we met today from 11 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. Akira, how did I come up with 600 questions? Very slowly. So what I did for the questions is I had already developed the course, so I had all the PowerPoint slides, and I would open up the PowerPoint slides, and just one by one slide, I would look at the slide, I would think about a term or concept that needed to be tested. I would think about a scenario that would help to test that. And that's how the questions came together. And it was more than 600 because not all of them, were good. I've had to swap some out over time. Oh, great. So Mel is asking about whether the course comes with certificates that could be used as CPEs. Yes, you will get a course completion certificate once you complete the course. And when you get to the end of the course on drdavidprivacy.com, you'll get a button at the top that says, congratulations, you have a certificate to download. So yes, yeah, you get a certificate of completion there. So another benefit of my course and of drdavidprivacy.com is all of the updates are for free. So, and they're automatic as well. So there's a question here that says, you've purchased the course and you guessed that is not valid for the new version. That is incorrect. The updates take place, they're in place updates. So if you logged out on Friday, this past Friday, what would that have been? The 30th? So January 30th, 5 p.m., you log out, you log in right now, that's the new content. You don't have to purchase a new course. There's no update fee or anything. You get lifetime access through drdavidprivacy.com. And when I say lifetime access, I mean my lifetime, okay? This is a one-person show. If I get hit by a bus, I'm not going to be able to update the course for you. So as long as I'm alive, I will update the course and you will get those updates for free. Okay, so Tiana's asking about upgrading to drdavidprivacy.com. The answer is yes. So if you've purchased on Udemy and you want to upgrade to drdavidprivacy.com, there is a way to do that. The policy is posted in the Discord channel. So if you go to the Discord channel and go to the announcements section, the policy is right there. If you can't find it, let me know. In short, you just need to send me an invoice confirming the course that you've enrolled in, your name on the invoice, and the date of enrollment. I'll cross-check that against the Udemy database to confirm that you've enrolled, and then you will get a credit towards the upgrade. And so, for example, if you paid $199.99 US dollars on Udemy, then you would get a $199.99 credit to upgrade to drdavidprivacy.com. You would pay the difference of $40. It does not include tax, and it's US dollars paid. So you just pay the difference to upgrade. All right, I'm glad there are so many questions. I'm trying to keep up with all of them. Okay, are the practice test exams reflective of the recent changes? Oh, so I already answered that. Okay. In the process of updating those. All right. So for office hours, again, the office hours are available to drdavidprivacy.com users only. And when you log in to drdavidprivacy.com and you go to your course, there's a course introduction section. Immediately after the course introduction section, there's a Start Here section. And when you click on the first lecture of Start Here, there's going to be a Materials tab. You click on that Materials tab, and it's going to show you the office hours schedule. So I do 4 a month. I do first Monday, second Tuesday, third Wednesday, fourth Thursday, and at different times. So there's a 7 a.m., there's an 11 a.m., there's a 1 p.m., there's a 7 p.m. And I intentionally do that to cater to all of my students around the world, because not everyone's on East Coast time. I want to make these accessible for anyone who wants access to them. You can only access the schedule and the links in drdavidprivacy.com. All right, office hours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. People are saying thank you to me. Thank you to all of you. All right. Someone's saying they studied AIGP v2.1. We are on version 2.1, so I'm not sure what the 2.1 refers to. Will this course help a non-technical student? Yes, Amrita. Yes, yes, yes. So as I said at the very beginning, my PhD is in modern Chinese history. I wrote my dissertation on, it was a social and cultural history of the Chinese Communist Party in rural North China. So during the China's war with Japan, the Chinese communists retreat into the rural hinterland, and they build up mobilized power, and then eventually use that power to defeat the Japanese, and then to take over the urban areas. And I was really interested in the social and cultural side of that building power. Anyway, you're not here to listen to my dissertation. I say that because if you are a non-technical person and you want to get into AI governance, if you want to get into privacy, I did it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I've built all of my courses to do that, to provide you with those little steps that you need to get up to speed and to understand the technology. Cheval, the link to Discord, depending on where you enrolled, for drdavidprivacy.com, as soon as you enroll, you will get a welcome email, and that welcome email will include two important links. One is the link to Discord so that you can join us right away. Two, it'll include the unique Brainscape activation URL. I know that's a mouthful, but it's the link that you will click on that will take you to the Brainscape website to activate your subscription. Do I think IAPP will be testing on the new changes full throttle? Yes. I think that the new exam questions are already in the database. So folks that have very unfortunately scheduled their exam for today are going to be tested on the new material. That's a hunch. I think only IAPP knows how they roll out their questions, and only they know 100% what is on the exam. But I imagine that, they say that body of knowledge is effective February 2nd. Again, one of the benefits of working with over 8,000 students over the last 2 years is you get to hear a lot about people's experiences. And I know people that, have tested the day of the changeover, or, even worse, people in one time zone, like it's February 1st where you live, but it's February 2nd somewhere else. And that, the new body of knowledge was already in effect. So someone was sitting for the exam February 1st for them, but IAPP had already instituted the changes, and they got questions that they had never seen before because it was on the new body of knowledge. So I always tell people, every time around this time of the year, I've been dealing with this for the last month. People are like, can I wait until the last minute? I scheduled for January 31st or for February 1st or January 30th. Like, don't do it. Do it 2 weeks ahead of time. If there are any technical mishaps that require you to reschedule, you can still take the current version of the exam. If there's a mistake, if there's a technical mishap and you have to reschedule, and they only have availability after the new change, you have to take that new exam. Thank you, Nicholas. Glad to hear you benefited from the materials. Thank you for sharing. Has the difficulty changed? So Sean's asked whether or not the difficulty level has changed from version 2.0.1 to version 2.1. No, I don't think so, Sean. In fact, I think, one of the main pieces of feedback that I got from the community about the previous version of the exam was the way that the material was organized with the plan, design, develop, deploy. It didn't always align with industry standards. And so folks that were familiar with the AI development lifecycle, but really had to learn something specifically for the exam, that really tripped them up. So while there's a little bit more material in this new version of my course, I think it's organized in a better way. All right. Someone else again asking about Discord. Again, as soon as you sign up on drdavidprivacy.com, the welcome email will include a link there. Someone here is asking about whether the practice exams for IAPP have updated. I'm not sure. That's going to be a question for them. Absolutely make sure that you ask about that. Brad's asking about the upgrade. So if anyone has any outstanding questions, please email me, drdavid@drdavidprivacy.com. Of course, you can send me a message here. Okay. I would love to stay on with everyone, but as you may know, I just launched a premium service. It's called the AIGP 28-Day Certification Accelerator. It's a high-touch, structured 28-day sprint for the AIGP certification. I've launched the first 2 groups. We have an alpha cohort as well as a beta cohort. One of the benefits of the program is that you get a couple individual one-on-one coaching sessions with me. I have a coaching session that started 2 minutes ago, but I was so carried away by your engagement that I completely lost track of time. So for those questions that I haven't gotten to, I'm really sorry. I will go through the full list of comments here at some point later this week and hopefully respond to any questions that I haven't already addressed. Otherwise, connect with me here on LinkedIn, send me an email, drdavid@drdavidprivacy.com. You can send me a message here in LinkedIn. I've got a lot of outstanding messages, so I might not get back to you today, but I promise everyone will get a response from me. So thank you so much for coming by. Really appreciated opportunity to get to engage with you all, and looking forward to more of that in the very near future.